Everything you were told in school about why the sky is blue is probably a lie, or at the very least, it is a massive oversimplification. If you ask the average person on the street why the sky is blue, they will likely give you one of two answers. Either they will say it is because the sky reflects the color of the ocean, or they will say it is because of something called Rayleigh scattering. Now, the ocean reflection thing is 100% wrong. It is a total myth. If that were true, the sky would look brown over the Sahara Desert and green over the Amazon rainforest. But the second answer, Rayleigh scattering, that is only about 50% of the truth. There is a much deeper, much weirder reason why we see a blue canopy above our heads instead of, say, violet or even neon green. And the answer involves a mix of hardcore physics, the chemistry of our atmosphere, and the strange way the human brain is wired to interpret reality. To understand what is actually happening up there, we have to start with the source of everything, the sun. Now, we usually draw the sun as a giant yellow or orange ball in the sky, but if you were standing on the International Space Station, the sun would look pure white. That is because the sun emits a massive spectrum of electromagnetic radiation, including all the colors of the rainbow. When all those colors are mixed together and hitting your eyes at the same time, they appear white. This white light travels through the vacuum of space at roughly 186,000 miles per second until it hits the first obstacle in its path, Earth's atmosphere. Our atmosphere is not just empty space. It is a thick, 60-mile-high soup made of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and a tiny bit of argon, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. These gases are made of molecules, and these molecules are tiny, really tiny. We are talking about sizes that are much smaller than the wavelength of visible light. When that white light from the sun enters our atmosphere, it starts slamming into these billions of gas molecules.
Think of light like a wave. Each color has its own specific wavelength. Red light has the longest wavelength, about 700 nanometers. It is lazy and stretched out. On the other end of the spectrum, you have blue and violet light, which have very short, choppy wavelengths, around 400 to 450 nanometers. When the long, lazy red waves hit our atmosphere, they mostly just pass right through. They are too big to be bothered by those tiny nitrogen and oxygen molecules. They sail right past, which is why when you look directly at the sun, it looks yellowish-red.
But the blue light has a problem. Because its wavelength is so short, it is much more likely to crash into those gas molecules. When a blue photon hits an oxygen molecule, it gets absorbed and then immediately spat back out in a random direction. This process is called Rayleigh scattering, named after Lord Rayleigh, a British physicist who figured this out in 1871. Imagine a pinball machine where the ball is the blue light and the bumpers are the air molecules. The blue light is bouncing all over the place, zigzagging across the sky. By the time that light reaches your eyes on the ground, it is coming at you from every single direction in the upper atmosphere. That is why, when you look away from the sun, the sky still looks illuminated. You are seeing all that scattered blue light finally hitting your retina.
But here is where the mystery gets real. Here is the part that your science teacher probably missed. If the rule is that shorter wavelengths scatter more, then the sky should not be blue at all. It should be violet. Violet light has an even shorter wavelength than blue light. According to the math of Rayleigh scattering, violet light scatters about 10 times more efficiently than red light, and significantly more than blue light. So if the physics says the sky is actually violet, why does every human with healthy vision see it as blue? This is where physics ends and biology begins. The answer lies inside your own head. Human eyes are not perfect scientific instruments. We do not see the world as it actually is. We see the world as our brains interpret it. Inside your eyes, you have 3 types of color-detecting cells called cones. You have L cones for long wavelengths, which we call red. You have M cones for medium wavelengths, which we call green. And you have S cones for short wavelengths, which we call blue. Now, our eyes are incredibly sensitive to blue and green, but they are notoriously bad at seeing violet. Even though there is a massive amount of violet light being scattered in the upper atmosphere, our eyes just are not built to pick it up very well. But there is a second reason, and it is even more fascinating. The sun does not actually put out an equal amount of every color. Even though we call it white light, the sun actually emits way more blue light than it does violet light. So you have a situation where there is more blue light available to scatter, and our eyes are way better at seeing that blue light than the violet light that is mixed in with it. When your brain receives the signal from your eyes, it sees a mix of scattered violet light and scattered blue light, along with a tiny bit of scattered green. Your brain does a bit of color correction and averages those colors out, and the result of that cosmic math is the specific shade of pale blue we see every day. If we had the eyes of a honeybee, which can see ultraviolet light, the sky would look completely different to us. It would likely look like a glowing, psychedelic violet purple. We are basically living in a world where the sky is actually purple, but we are all too colorblind to see it. But what about sunsets? If the sky is blue because of scattering, why does it turn blood red and deep orange when the sun goes down? This is actually the exact same process, just taken to the extreme. When the sun is directly overhead, the light only has to travel through a relatively thin layer of atmosphere to reach you. But when the sun is setting, it is sitting at a low angle on the horizon. That means the light has to travel through way more atmosphere, sometimes 10 times as much air as it does during the day. By the time the light reaches your eyes, it has hit so many molecules that almost all the blue and violet light has been scattered away entirely. It is gone. The only colors left that have not been bounced out of the path are the long, stubborn wavelengths, the reds, the oranges, and the deep yellows. You are seeing the leftovers. A sunset is basically what happens when the atmosphere finally wins the battle against the blue light. And here is a mind-blowing thought to leave you with. Everything we just talked about, the nitrogen, the oxygen, the Rayleigh scattering, it only applies to Earth. If you were standing on Mars, the sky would look totally different. Because Mars has a very thin atmosphere, mostly made of carbon dioxide and filled with fine dust. The scattering works differently. During the day, the Martian sky looks like a murky brownish pink. But because the dust particles on Mars are the perfect size to scatter blue light in a specific way, the sunsets on Mars are actually blue. Think about that for a second. On Earth, we have a blue sky and red sunsets. On Mars, they have a red sky and blue sunsets. It is like a mirror image of our own world. It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? The color of the world around us is not some fixed objective truth. It is just a beautiful accident of chemistry, distance, and the specific way our human eyes evolved to survive on this one specific planet. The next time you look up at a clear blue sky, remember, you are looking at a violet masterpiece that your brain is just simplifying for you, and it is one of the most complex light shows in the known universe. If you found this deep dive into the sky fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We explore the hidden science behind the everyday things you take for granted every single week. Thanks for watching, and keep looking up.